May 4th, 2007, 9:45 in the evening. The small town of Greensburg, Kansas, is plunged into darkness. The power is out, the sirens have gone silent, and somewhere in the blackness, a tornado nearly 2 miles wide is grinding through the heart of town.
And dangerous tornado on the ground, confirmed by National Weather Service spotters and by our high-resolution NIXRAD Doppler radar. And
our chaser Lanny Dean reporting a very large tornado on the ground. This is about 12 miles southwest of Greensburg, and it is heading towards Greensburg.
The only light comes from power flashes, bright, violent bursts of blue and white, lighting up the outline of a monster that no one can see. On live television, local meteorologists are pleading with residents to take shelter. But in Greensburg, the time for shelter has already passed. The tornado is here. It is wider than the town itself, and by morning, there will be almost nothing left. Greensburg, Kansas, a small town of roughly 1,400 people in the southwest corner of the state. The kind of place where everybody knows everybody. A main street with a handful of shops, churches, a school, a hospital, homes that had been in families for generations. The kind of town that doesn't make the news, until it does. Greensburg sat in the heart of Tornado Alley. Kansas averages more significant tornadoes per square mile than almost any state in the country. Severe weather was a fact of life here. Sirens went off every spring. Residents knew the drill. Go to the basement. Wait it out, move on. But on the night of May 4th, 2007, no basement would be deep enough for what was coming. Forecasters at the Storm Prediction Center had been watching this system for days. A powerful storm system was pushing across the plains, and by the morning of May 4th, they issued a moderate risk for severe weather across western Kansas.
Yeah, we started out overcast this morning, but look at all the sunshine across southwestern and now parts of south central Kansas. There's just some high-thin clouds starting to drift in now, and that's really warming up the atmosphere. Cake's Viper 3D, there are no thunderstorms occurring yet, but look at all the heat. 86 Medicine Lodge, 85 Dodge, 80 in Garden City. Now the dew point, remember this is the moisture in the air. Notice how we got a dry line between Great Bend and Dodge, Medicine Lodge to Pratt, right in here. And it's that dry line. We're going to keep an eye in that area to see if we can see some severe thunderstorms erupt.
The ingredients were in place. Extreme moisture, strong wind shear, and an atmosphere loaded with energy. But there was a question mark. A strong cap was holding for most of the day, suppressing storm development. If it held, storms might not fire at all. If it broke, anything that formed would be explosive. The supercell that would eventually destroy Greensburg formed over the Oklahoma-Kansas border and moved north into southern Kansas. At first, it produced small, short-lived tornadoes, weak funnels that touched down in open fields and lifted within minutes. Nothing unusual for a Kansas storm in May. But the storm was cycling. Each time a tornado dissipated, the storm reorganized and produced another. And each one was a little stronger than the last. Shortly after 9 p.m., the storm put down a fifth tornado south of Greensburg. This one was different. It grew rapidly. Within minutes, storm chasers on Highway 183 could see it in the lightning flashes. A massive wedge shape, churning across the countryside. Satellite vortices were spinning around its base. Storm chasers reporting live to local television stations described it as a monster wedge, at least 3/4 of a mile wide and growing.
Jay, currently right now, just to let you know my position, I am on 160 highway headed west, and I do have a very large funnel at this time, Jay. Very large funnel back towards the area of, okay, tornado on the ground, Jay. Tornado on the ground, definite tornado on the ground. Near, I'm going to put it close to Sitka.
The problem was, it was night. The tornado was completely wrapped in rain. Residents of Greensburg could not see it coming. All they would get was rain, then hail, then the tornado itself, buried behind a wall of water. At this point, the tornado was tracking northeast. It looked like it might pass just east of Greensburg, but then the storm began to occlude, and the tornado made a sharp turn to the north. straight toward town. The National Weather Service in Dodge City made a critical decision. They upgraded the tornado warning to an extremely rare tornado emergency for Greensburg. On local television, meteorologists began counting down the minutes, urging viewers to take shelter immediately.
This is from the National Weather Service in Dodge City. They have issued a tornado emergency. This is very rare. You really should think about heading down to your shelters. Keep an eye on this thunderstorm as it approaches you. Now, the rain and hail will reach you first, so keep in mind, as far as looking through the thunderstorm and seeing the tornado, if you're in Greensburg, you're not going to.
This was not a drill. This was a confirmed, large, violent tornado heading directly for a populated town. At night, wrapped in rain, invisible. Just before 9:45 p.m., the tornado entered the south side of Greensburg. By now, it had reached its maximum width of 1.7 miles. The town itself was only about 1.5 miles wide. The tornado was wider than the town it was about to consume. There was no escape, no side of town that was safe. South of town, storm chasers were racing along Highway 183 in near total darkness. The only way to see the tornado was to wait for lightning. And when the lightning came, what it revealed was terrifying.
Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
Oh my gosh! Wow! Oh, big tornado! Oh, Mikey, get out of the way! Monster tornado! Oh my God!
Oh my gosh, Tim.
I think it's about an F-4 tornado crossing the
Oh, it's got to be bigger than that. It's
the road in front of
a
us.
monster.
Holy cow!
Keep videotaping. Just point it out that way.
This thing is so massive. We're 2 miles away from it. We can't get any closer for fear of rolling the truck.
Debris. Yep. Hey. Wow. Oh my gosh. There's a huge monster on the ground in front of us.
Oh, dude, that's a violent tornado.
Yeah.
There's too much glare.
A massive wall of rotating debris filling the horizon ahead of them. Multiple vortices spinning inside the main circulation. And then the power flashes started, one after another. Each flash marking another block of Greensburg being torn apart. The glow surrounding the tornado was not lightning. It was the electrical grid being destroyed as the tornado moved through town. Chasers on the highway reported crosswinds strong enough to nearly roll their vehicles, even from miles away. Debris was flying across the road. Power lines were down. Some chasers were forced to stop completely, unable to drive any further into the wind. It moved through at roughly 20 miles per hour, slow, agonizing. What lasted minutes felt like hours for those sheltered in basements and closets across Greensburg. When daylight came, it revealed what the darkness had hidden. The tornado had followed Main Street like it had been given directions. The hospital was destroyed. The high school was leveled. The elementary school was gutted. City Hall, the courthouse, the fire station, all gone. Churches that had stood for generations were ripped apart. Homes that had been bolted to their foundations were swept away completely. In some areas, the ground itself was scoured clean. Trees were stripped of every branch, every piece of bark. Vehicles were thrown hundreds of yards and twisted beyond recognition. In a matter of minutes, 95% of Greensburg had been damaged or destroyed. But the supercell that created this tornado was far from finished. The tornado exited the north side of Greensburg and continued into the open countryside. It did something unusual. It made a large loop, curving back toward the northwest, before finally lifting in a field just north of town. In total, the Greensburg tornado was on the ground for 65 minutes, carving a path 28.8 miles long. The parent supercell continued northeast, cycling again and again. One tornado near the town of Trousdale grew to a staggering 2.2 miles wide. half a mile wider than the Greensburg tornado at its peak. Trousdale was spared only because the tornado's occlusion turned it away at the last moment. The supercell would go on to produce 22 tornadoes in total over the course of roughly 5.5 hours across 120 miles of Kansas. 2 more people were killed by other tornadoes from the same storm, bringing the total to 13. When dawn broke on May 5th, Greensburg was unrecognizable. From the air, the destruction was total. A town that had stood for over a century had been flattened in minutes. 95% of the buildings in Greensburg were damaged or destroyed. 961 homes and businesses were gone. The hospital, the schools, the churches, Main Street, all of it reduced to rubble. Debris had to be measured in truckloads. An estimated 800,000 cubic yards of wreckage, roughly 75,000 to 80,000 truckloads to clear. 11 people were killed inside Greensburg. 63 more were injured, and many of them are seriously injured. Given the strength of the tornado and the fact that it struck at night, the death toll was remarkably low, and that was largely because of the warnings. The tornado emergency issued by the National Weather Service, the live broadcasts from local meteorologists, the storm chasers who relayed ground truth in real time. Those warnings gave residents roughly 20 minutes to take shelter. In a nighttime, rain-wrapped EF-5, those 20 minutes saved hundreds of lives. But the nightmare was not over. The very next day, May 5th, the Storm Prediction Center issued an extremely rare high risk for the same region. More tornadoes were in the forecast. For the people of Greensburg, who had just lost everything, the sky was threatening to do it again. That evening, a tornado passed within 2 miles of town. Greensburg was spared a second hit, but barely. When damage surveyors arrived, they had a new tool at their disposal. The Enhanced Fujita Scale had been implemented just 3 months earlier, on February 1st, 2007. Greensburg became the ultimate test for this new system. Engineers and meteorologists surveyed every building. The conclusion was historic. Estimated wind speeds of 205 miles per hour, EF-5. The first tornado in history to receive the highest rating on the new scale, and the first F5 or EF-5 tornado anywhere since the Moore, Oklahoma tornado of May 3, 1999. In the months and years that followed, Greensburg faced a choice: let the town fade away or rebuild from nothing. The people of Greensburg chose to rebuild, but they did not rebuild what was. They built something new. The City Council passed a resolution requiring all new public buildings to meet LEED Platinum standards, the highest level of energy-efficient design. It was the first city in America to do so. A wind farm was built on the outskirts of town. Today, 100% of Greensburg's electricity comes from wind energy. The same Kansas wind that destroyed the town now powers it. The hospital was rebuilt. The schools were rebuilt. Main Street came back to life. New homes went up on lots that had been scraped bare. Businesses reopened. Families moved back in. Block by block, Greensburg began to resemble a town again. Not the same town, but a town. But Greensburg is not what it was. The population today is roughly half of what it was on May 4th, 2007. Many families never returned. Some couldn't. Some chose not to. Empty lots still sit where homes once stood, quiet gaps between the new construction where neighbors used to live. The scars are still visible to anyone who drives through. They always will be. The Greensburg tornado was the first EF-5 ever recorded on the Enhanced Fujita Scale. Estimated peak winds of 205 miles per hour. On the ground for 65 minutes, a path nearly 29 miles long, 1.7 miles wide, 11 lives lost, 13 total from the supercell that produced 22 tornadoes in a single night across 120 miles of Kansas. It was the strongest tornado the country had seen since the Moore, Oklahoma F5 of May 3, 1999. And it struck at night, wrapped in rain, invisible until it was on top of you. Greensburg stands today because of those minutes, and because of the people who, after losing everything, chose to stay, chose to rebuild, and chose to turn the very thing that destroyed their town into the thing that powers it. A town is not its buildings. A town is its people. And the people of Greensburg are still here.